love it with some passion. Rubber band and the money that keeps stacking. Got a honey who come with elite fashion. She too fine, I tell her that thing magic. You ain't a hustle, you broke, well that seems tragic. Gotta catch in the
What is up? This is got your boy Sterls on the mic tonight, and you guys are watching and listening to the Chop Up. I don't know what's going on. It's like got a delay, some technical difficulties. Hold on. What the heck? Y'all hear that? I'll edit all this out. It's being crazy. Hold on. Let me leave the studio. All right, I don't know what happened. I do not know what happened, but it just all quit on me. But I'll edit all this and it'll be just fine. So, anyways, welcome to the Chop Up tonight. I'm your lovely host, Girls for the Girls, and my boy Spence is on vacation. My man is on vacation, so I'm the MC on the mic tonight. Glad to have you guys here on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. Man, it's been, I just want to let y'all know that I'm 40. All right. I don't know if you guys are familiar with any college football, but Mike Gundy, he was like, me, I'm a man. I'm 40. That's me now. I've joined the ranks of all the old heads that evaluate football on the couch. Am I hot right now? Am I a hot boy? Because I'm on fire. But I'm rocking the mic at 40, man. I'm happy to be here. I went to California. I was out there since Thursday. Did some your boy went deep sea fishing. Okay. And let me tell you, man, like I'm gonna be real. Like I'm not a sea at sea guy. I've realized this. Once I saw the waves in the wind and the front of the boat kind of dip down, nose dive down, and then I was like, yeah, I'm good. But I'm here, man. I got a little leg tattoo, so I'm a little zaddy out here. But anyway, that's enough about me and my weekend. I just want to include you guys. But we got a special show for y'all tonight. We got a very special show for y'all tonight. I got two of my guys. Two of my guys are going to be joining me. We're going to talk some Bills. We're going to talk about the Bills maybe being an offensive purgatory. I'll explain that later in the show. We had a signing today. And then we're going to talk about some draft fits for the Bills and do a mock draft. So it's kind of like, because I wasn't here on Monday because I was doing my thing. Now I'm here and I got some friends with me. So without further ado, let me throw my guys in here. We got what's up? So we got Eric Brown.
What's up?
Yeah, y'all might know who this is, and Anthony. He's doing blackface.
Hey, yo, what's going on, man?
No one can see you, Anthony.
You can't see me.
Nope.
That's weird.
You're not going to be able to see the wool jacket. That's a
I
problem.
can see me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we cannot see you.
Oh, I feel maybe I'm the new Bruce Nolan. See, you just can't see me.
Well, you're not.
Do I really exist?
Yeah.
So why don't you
breaks a little.
So turn your camera on first of all. That'd be great.
Oh, it's definitely on. I can see me, which is the weird thing. So let me bounce out and bounce back in.
There you go. All right, so we got my guys from the old Hoof Podcast, man. It's been a minute.
Been too long, man. Been too long. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. So it's definitely, we talk regularly, but I know people haven't really seen us do this in this setting, in this capacity, in quite some time. So Eric, tell what you've been doing, man. What you been up to?
We started our own channel last year. Called the Hoof Podcast, and we really focused on odds. Anthony's big on the bets. Focus on analysis, more league wide, but previous to that, we were together 5 years, you and I, doing Bills podcasting, Anthony as well. So, trying to get back into the Bills. We missed doing that, but Anthony was on fire with his picks last year. Just so everybody knows.
That's right. We did. We had a very good pick year for me. That was fun.
He did. I had a horrible year. I think I was at like 30%. But Anthony was, 55, 60% on his picks.
That was on all the picks. My pick six, it was close to 68%, right, which is anything over 50 is damn good. So that's even better.
Well, nobody cares, Anthony.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well,
it was
once
fun.
the season's over, it's over.
It made the season fun for sure. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. We're all at 0-0 now. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
And I only say that because my picks weren't that great, to be honest. I even stopped doing tally side. I'm like, you know what? F this, because it was like one of those years where it was extremely hard to predict.
Mm-hmm.
I lost money trying to bet, and I was the loser. So if yours was on point, man, good for you. But it's glad to have you guys here tonight as guests on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network.
It's great to get the band back together. Thank you for having us, Sterling, because this is, it's always good to talk football with you guys. Everything comes naturally, and man, we get it flowing, right?
All right, so as we jump into this thing, the Bills, good season turn bad, good season turn not fulfilled, I would say. Now our listeners have heard me talk about the shortcomings of the Buffalo Bills in that playoff loss to the Bengals, but I really haven't had an opportunity to hear y'all's opinion on maybe, the thoughts of the game and where we are in the offseason right now. Eric, let's start with you there. The Bills lost that game, 27-10, I believe. It really wasn't close at all. The score showed us, but
non-competitive.
It was non-competitive. So what are your thoughts?
I thought, the Bills had a great season. It was so fun being a part of that as a fan. They were competing for the 1 seed, which was the first goal to get out of the way, right? And that came right down to the wire. Some things out of our hands or out of their hands happened and it kind of cost them the 1 seed. But things got a little shaky towards the end of the season with Miami. I think everyone was a little nervous for the wild card game, and then the wheels fall off for Cincinnati, and we all know Cincinnati's too good for that to happen. So I think the way it ended was extremely disappointing. We were expecting kind of a repeat of the Kansas City game last year, right? Like if they lost that way with a back and forth with Joe Burrow, I think we'd be having a different conversation. But the fact that it was a home playoff game, they worked so hard to get, and just got embarrassed the whole game. Couldn't get back in. Offense falls apart. Josh Allen didn't, I'd say mediocre game for him. I think that hurts, and now we have to wait all these months to next season to see what this team actually is. So with that, I think it's hope season, right? Draft coming up, free agency in the books, a little bit ongoing still, but overall, I need a splash from this team.
Okay. All right.
Again, you're second to Pat Mahomes in passing touchdowns. Josh Allen's he's after Pat Mahomes was 1, Joe Burrow 2, Josh Allen 3. That hurts there because it's a 3-way competition in the AFC, right? Those are the top 3 quarterbacks in the league right now. We want our guy to win and stop finishing second and third.
Oh, that's a good point.
So we got to get over the hump, and I need a player like DeAndre Hopkins would do enough for me.
Okay, hold on.
To this point,
the brakes on the DeAndre Hopkins.
I know.
At
this point, though, my point is They just haven't done enough yet for me to be satisfied. I'll say that.
Okay.
Anthony, what you got?
Well, going back to the playoff loss, I was actually at the Miami game, the first playoff game, right? And obviously that did not go how we thought it was going to go either, right? You're facing a backup quarterback, third string quarterback really, but backup. And, you think this is the game we're just going to walk through and be, an easy game for us. And it was not. It was stressful at the stadium, a lot more stressful than I thought it was going to be being there. It was my first playoff game in Buffalo. So I was excited for that, and I enjoyed it, but it didn't leave you with a lot of confidence going into the next game. That's for sure. And then obviously with a loss like that, it was heartbreaking and just shocking, right? Shock is the only word you can use. I went back, I was watching it in the man cave, the game, and went back upstairs, and my wife saw me and she's like, are you okay? Partially because she knew the Bills were losing, right? And they lost the game, and that she knows how that affects me in a negative way. But it was just the look on my face. I was just shocked, right? Because this was a totally new feeling in 35 years of being a Bills fan, right? I have never seen my team with Super Bowl or bust aspirations have all of this dramatic pressure, up and down feelings during the season of all the stuff that happened that we know happened during the year. And then just having it hit a wall, losing the way we lost, like Eric said, with just getting our butts beat and the defense not showing up, right? You're like, come on, defense is what we are. And with Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier and, through the years of why the Bills have gotten better, Josh Allen and the defense, always good every year. That's all you needed. But it was just a brand new feeling as a Bills fan. You were supposed to be there, and now we're not. How do I feel about that? I don't know. How do you get over the hump to look forward to the next season? In that moment, it was very hard for that. And I think I was caught up personally in the emotions of the season, in the Damar Hamlin stuff, in all of the stuff that happened, Knox losing his brother, all of that stuff just hit me in that moment. Like, damn, this was supposed to be our year. Yeah. This was supposed to be it. We needed it for those guys. And part of me also looked forward knowing this team is going to change in ways that are bigger and not necessarily better, right? So Tremaine Edmonds and Jordan Poyer at the time, now we know how that's worked out, but you knew that was going to be a big change. The offense, is it going to still be the same? Coaching, I mean, it just left so many questions in your head of how am I going to look more optimistic into next season? How is next season going to be more optimistic than this? And it's hard to see that even now, I think, still being where we were at last year at this time and now.
Yeah, no, it definitely is unfortunate. I think we were all in a similar headspace when they lost. I mean, I think for a lot of us, for me, I was taken back by it. I did not expect them to kind of get mopped up like that. So, it was a rough time, but moving forward, I mean, it's been a few months and we've had some time to kind of exhale the demons, right? And we're in free agency, and like some of you, like Daryl mentioned in the chat about a splash. Eric, you mentioned it here on air, and I don't feel like the Bills have gotten that splash. And part of me is like, are we at a place where we shouldn't even expect it moving forward? But like you said, Anthony and Eric, you guys alluded to the fact that the Bills are kind of in this three-way arms race for the AFC. And I feel like right now the Bills haven't done enough. Mm-hmm. They haven't done enough to move the needle forward. So with the recent free agent acquisitions, today we got Jordan Phillips. Last week it was Taylor Rapp. Where do you guys feel about a splash or the Bills, maybe the Bills not doing enough? What are your thoughts on that?
I got two thoughts. We'll start with the defense. Sean McDermott mentioned in the most recent press conference at the annual meeting, it's a competition to replace Tremaine with who's on the roster right now. Right. Mm-hmm. And those guys, is it Spector? We have
Terrell Bernard.
Bernard, right, which we don't know a lot about. We have Dodson, which we've seen in a limited capacity. Matakavich, I doubt will compete, but he's in the hunt, right? To me, that's a huge hole. So there's a void there. I don't feel comfortable with what we have right now. Getting Poyer back was huge. The depth at safety is great. We kind of don't know what's going on with that Oliver. Is he going to be on the team next year? If he is, I think that's huge. I do think the Bills are going to rely heavily on Von Miller next year to get a pass rush. The cornerbacks look deep, right? I expect they'd be the same or better. So really that one linebacker spot is where I get a little nervous. But now is the time to switch to an offensive team, right? Let's stop building defense so much. Let's get the offense up to par, right? You have a once-in-a-generation quarterback that plays an extra game every year. Why can't we focus on breaking some records, right? Let's throw some passing touchdowns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Josh Allen could beat 55 passing touchdowns if he had enough weapons? Maybe the elements, but I'm not saying that should be the expectation. But when you're building the team, why not that? Let's go for it.
Right. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I think they need to. I think they need to shift their focus. But the funny thing is, I don't feel like they're going to. Now they did make 2 signings, right?
Yep.
In terms of weapon wise, they went out and they got Deontay Hardy, right, and they got Trent Sherfield. Who these are guys?
Yeah,
they're just a guy. I mean, really.
Well,
I mean, when you think about it,
number 4 receivers, right?
Exactly. Right.
Right.
I think we've upgraded our number 4 receiver.
So, and even just by doing that, I can say that the Bills are they're a little bit better going into this season as they were last year. That should tell you how bad they were last year. Outside of Stephon Diggs, underutilized Dawson Knox, which for the life of me, don't know why we underutilize him.
I think defenses evolve could be some of that, but we'd have to check the film.
Right, we would have to look at the all 22. But even looking at the all 22, I'm just there's opportunities for Dawson to eat. So I look at those things and it just has me flabbergasted, bro. And it really is frustrating. Anthony, with those 2 additions, what kind of success do you feel like Josh Allen can get out of these 2 receivers, Trent Sherfield and Deontay Hardy?
I do. That's a great way to frame it. And I think saying that, I think they can, reach higher than their potential in the NFL so far, right? I agree with you, Sterling, that both of these guys move the needle up, but it's not an exciting up, right? So you release Isaiah McKenzie, you replace him with one of these 2 guys, right? So I would probably say Sherfield more in that role. And then you have to think about their role in this offense. How is that going to move the team forward, right? We all knew going out now that Gabriel Davis seemed to not fill that number 2 hole, right? So does Deontay Hardy sound like he's going to fill that number 2 role? No, right? So I'm not exactly excited about these moves, but they do move the needle. So if you take it one position at a time, quarterback, sure, we got Kyle Allen. I consider that pretty neutral. Wide receiver, we upticked a little, replacing Isaiah McKenzie, I think, because he had his chance 2 years, didn't do it, right? I love Isaiah McKenzie as a person, as a player, but he just didn't get what we needed out of him, right? And I think Trent Sherfield will be the guy to kind of play that replacement wide receiver 4 role. And
they're better route runners, right? I think
right.
Both those guys,
and
Hasty and
yards
Sherfield
after catch, right?
Right.
Bean, I always say Bean doesn't lie, right? He went to the mic in the beginning of the offseason and said, we need yak, right? So these 2 guys could increase yak, right? More so than what we were getting. However, I am still looking to add at wide receiver for sure. I'm looking draft no matter what. I don't care if we sign this guy, that guy, and another. You draft a wide receiver this year, right? You're drafting at least by the 3rd round. We should draft a wide receiver in my mind. I do think that is a position in need. I think there's players that fit that we could get. So that is one that I need. But what we're not talking about, what hasn't been brought up as much, the offensive line is better in my mind. Guard was a glaring hole, right? And now I feel like with Connor McGovern, you've at least solidified that position. We know who's going to be there in that position.
We know who's going to be there, but is he, how do we know how he's going to perform? That's the thing. Like, he's not great as a run blocker, right?
Certainly an upgrade over what we had last year, though, at the guard position, right?
Yeah, so at left guard, maybe, right?
Yes.
So the offensive line is basically the same.
They just got David
Edwards. Ryan Bates is going to play right guard,
depth,
right?
The depth is better.
Yes. But that's
Okay.
still that
But
in
the-
my mind, Connor McGovern alone is the upgrade, the glaring hole
Sure.
on the offensive
and that's fair.
line.
You can call him an upgrade. I would agree with that. But the starters are the same. The people who get the snaps are the same. So it's hard to say, are they an upgrade? You know, we don't know how Connor McGovern's going to play out, but you would expect his position to be better. But really, they're the same.
Same.
Does that make sense?
What's
like,
more
I'm
important?
just not impressed. You know, like,
What's more important in the
you
Bills'
signed
offense?
2 number
though?
4 receivers. I'm not impressed with that. That's not going to beat the Bengals.
But you
what I'm
also
saying?
have
Connor
to trust.
McGovern over Roger Saffold.
I look at it this way, right? When the Bills got Cole Beasley, did anybody think that he was going to turn into what he was for Josh Allen in this team when we signed him? We knew he was an upgrade
last year or 2
no,
years
when we first signed Cole Beasley to
Okay,
the
years
Buffalo Bills 4 years ago now.
Sure.
Wow, crazy, right? So when he first became a Buffalo Bill, nobody was like, oh, this is going to be the number 1 slot receiver for the Bills in the last 20 years. And he ended up being that, right? Like he was that good. And he was that reliable for Josh Allen and had that connection.
reliable for Dak, right?
He was, but he wasn't.
Dak Prescott had more touchdowns with Cole Beasley than any other year in his career.
And this is
So
why
we saw that. We saw that before he got to Buffalo, right?
My
Right.
point being that I think that Bean and McDermott knew what they were looking for Josh Allen, and that these two guys, as Sterling started by asking me, are going to exceed their expectations and what they've produced so far in the NFL with the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, because they have Josh Allen, because they fit what this team is looking for, because the offense knows how to plan around what they're bringing in.
So let me ask my next question. So I think we're all in agreement that the Bills haven't done enough in terms of arsenal and weaponry for Josh Allen. We can all agree to that, right? Yeah. So there's this rumor floating around now. Deandre Hopkins is apparently in Toronto. So I guess anybody that's in a 100-mile radius of Buffalo,
More than that.
he's signing, or 300 miles. Let's say 300 miles that he's coming to the Bills, and
That's
just
a different
hearing,
country,
right? and hearing, I mean, but I don't know why he would be in Toronto. Maybe he's just
hanging
wants
out with Drake.
to. Maybe Listen,
he's not in Orchard Park,
right. And I'm sure somebody's going to say, we just saw him at Duff's. We saw him at the airport. And I get sick and tired of that. And now that everybody's verified on Twitter, you don't know who to effing believe anymore, right?
Until I see wings from Duff's in that guy's mouth.
Bruh.
He ain't signing with Buffalo.
And he might be listening to the show right now and just might take a picture to troll you eating some Buffalo
wings.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll get excited though if I see Duff's in that
That's the world we live in right now. So, okay, so we're talking about DeAndre Hopkins. Now pause there. Now, let's go to Kansas City. They want him, and they're talking about having Kadarius Toney as their wide receiver 1, which is all smoke. I don't believe in that. You got the Bengals with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, right?
T. Higgins changed his number, by the way.
Right.
5.
Okay, and then you got, who else are we talking about? We got the Bengals,
Miami?
we got the Chiefs. We're not even the best receiving core in our division.
Yeah,
we're third,
right? And you look at that stuff, and I mean, Denver Broncos have a better receiving core or weaponry than the Bills.
I would gladly trade those two.
And that's what's tough.
You got 3 number 2 receivers in Denver,
right? But the Bills have a top 3 receiver in the league. There's a different tier there, right? But Stephon Diggs is so good that when Gabe Davis was struggling, you could still just rely on him.
Right. But the fact of the matter is, after Diggs, like, teams have figured out how to roll coverage to Diggs to kind of, stop him, right? So he doesn't just break a game open. And the problem is, as we saw, after that, they ain't got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't got nothing. And look, we saw D-Hop at Bar Bill 730. See, he's already there eating wings. So you heard it here first. So insert DeAndre Hopkins to the Bills. So let's talk about compensation. Okay. What do you guys think compensation would be for DeAndre Hopkins? Are you going to have to ship out Ed Oliver? What is it going to take? We know that cap number's high. DeAndre said that he would eat some of that for a new team. So Anthony, what is your opinion on compensation, or do you even want DeAndre Hopkins?
I will start there. I've been kind of out on the DeAndre Hopkins hype up until the last couple of weeks, because now seeing what the Bills did, I was all for signing a receiver, right? Getting somebody a true number 2. There wasn't much out there in free agency. DJ Chark was a guy who I brought up on our show and on Twitter, saying that I liked him, right? If that was a guy I was kind of like, okay, the Bills could find a way to make that work, and he is an upgrade to what we got now. But once they missed out on that and like decided, no, that wasn't the direction we were going, the D-Hop situation did become more like, okay, we have to do something here, and that's the guy to get. I was always against it because I thought the financial cost is like way out of the Bills league, right? We can't afford a $20 million wide receiver, whether we want him or not. And that was the conversation 2 months ago, a month ago. Now it's okay. When you talk about cost, trading for him, what are we going to trade for him? 7th round pick in 20,022, right? Like 20 million, 22, 20 years from now, right? Whatever. The Arizona Cardinals are not in a position to bargain for that, right? Realistically, they might get as much as a 3rd round pick. That's all that you're going to get pick-wise. The real compensation comes in the form of where do you get the money? And I do think that's where Ed Oliver comes into play. Ed Oliver, he's consistently good. He has not been amazing, right? There's a lot more that we wanted to get out of him. So I feel like if you could work in the Ed Oliver trade, give them that salary, right? Now you create another hole, which is never an ideal place to be. But by giving them Ed Oliver, you can take on the salary of DeAndre Hopkins and say, okay, now it's worth it. And at that point, guys like Eric, who said, look, we need to splash on offense, we need to go all in, say, I don't care if we have a defensive line anymore. We've got DeAndre Hopkins and Stephon Diggs. Let's go, right?
All right, Pause there, Anthony. Pause there. Eric, what do you got? What is your
just to follow up to Anthony real quick, but you have Josh Allen. That's the strength of the team, right? So, yeah, give Josh Allen all you can to, again, let's try to break some records. You got an extra game and a quarterback in his prime. Generational talent, right? So, yeah, that's the mentality shift I'm talking about. DeAndre Hopkins, sure. You want to trade Ed Oliver for DeAndre Hopkins? I think I'm all for that, just because guys like DeAndre Hopkins don't become available for a 3rd round pick. I mean, we saw A.J. Brown go last year, but he went for a lot more than that, right? Obviously a different talent. I think DeAndre Hopkins is towards the end of his career. But really, I think this comes down to what do you think you can get in the draft for the Bills, right? Okay. Do you really think you can get one of these top 4 or 5 guys, and do you like all 5? I think that's really important. If the answer is no, and if the answer is we don't think they could play the number 2 role, I don't think maybe 1 or 2 is a receiver 1, maybe. But most of them, I think, are in the 2 range. Now, if they don't like them, they don't think they could come in and contribute right away, I'd give up a 3rd. Right, I would overpay.
You would overpay for.
I would overpay. Now I'm concerned about injuries, like everybody else.
Yes, that was something I was going to.
You got to roll the dice a little bit because this team needs to get over the hump. Right, I would roll the dice. I don't think a 3rd round pick is going to do that for this team.
That's why I was saying earlier, no matter what, I'm drafting a wide receiver by round 3. Right, I'm getting one of those top at least 10 wide receivers. Right, but there are only, I think, 4 or 5 that I personally really want. And I think we're going to be able to talk about that later. But when it comes to the wide receivers, like you said, I don't think any of them, not from 1 to 5, is good enough to throw in on day 1 and be like, you're our number 2, have fun. I want some type of veteran to be like, okay, you're safe for now. And then he's the guy we're working into that role. And that's where I think Hopkins can play that role. Granted, he's got a longer contract to take on too.
I'm starting to feel a little bit different about DeAndre Hopkins. I like the player I see. I don't like the age at age 30. That to me, we talk, and I think the 3 of us, we've talked about this on, numerous times, but look at the Rams and what they're doing right now. I mean, they got their Super Bowl, okay? But in terms of long-term success, they're toast, right? So, and we've seen for the past 2 off seasons, the Bills, Brandon Beane, go and restructure these contracts and so forth. You went out and you signed the aging Von Miller, who got hurt. Now we didn't know that going in, but do you ever know? And so you go out and you're going to give up I'm good with trading at Oliver. I'm okay with that. But for a 30-year-old wide receiver, Stephon Diggs is 29. How much more? How many more years can you get production out of a DeAndre Hopkins, out of Stephon Diggs, where you don't have really anything behind those guys, barring you trade for DeAndre Hopkins? We don't know about, people talk about Khalil Shakir, but my guy only caught 10 passes. Like, let's be real. And so he's still very much a question mark. And then we went out and signed these 2 street free agents. And I'm like, and then we got Gabe Davis, who's not ready to be a number 2. So now there's this idea. Well, if you get a better slot player, it'll mask some of the stuff with Gabriel Davis. I say, no, let's get a wide receiver 2 that can do all the things. Like, can we stop playing with this, man? Like, the Bills don't have anything behind Diggs, and you're overpaying a Dawson Knox who's extremely talented, but do we really need to pay him that much if we're really honest, like, for the production? Like, I look at Travis Kelce, obviously he's the best tight end in the league, Mark Andrews, and I'm like, they get used. Dawson Knox doesn't. Why? So is it, do we put all these people in this offense and the Bills can't seem to find a way to get these guys to be productive? Nyheim Hines. So what are your thoughts on that? Is it a play calling, offensive design? Do you feel like, the Bills need to get younger, let's push off the DeAndre Hopkins thing, or you guys are still set, like, let's go Hopkins all the way this year?
No, I think I'm going to cop out here and say, why can't you do both? Right? This isn't just a youth movement.
But they won't. Receiver. That's the thing. They won't.
This is, we need to build an offense, right? The reason Dawson Knox can't get open or he doesn't get the balls because teams key on him, right? It's not a favorable matchup, right? There's no number 2 tight end they have to worry about. There's no, sure, Gabe Davis had some good games, right? Had some injuries. So, like, I think those injuries affected him. He's getting singled up.
So
So my point is, why can't we draft a receiver and sign D-Hop and make it a nightmare for defense?
It all depends on how much you like the receivers in this class, right? How much are you willing to give up to do that? It sounds to me like Sterling's saying, hey, we need to draft it in the first round if one of those top guys is there and not wait till one of these third round guys and wait to pick one of them instead, because we need to start thinking about the future now. And I could get on board with that. I'm okay at this point saying we draft a wide receiver in the third round this year. Then we probably draft a wide receiver in the first round next year when hopefully it's a deeper class of talent that fits this system, right? So I would be on board with that. And again, still trading for DeAndre Hopkins. We haven't talked about the 2.0, which is obviously OBJ, right? Like, okay, maybe DeAndre Hopkins is gone. What happens with OBJ? Similar thing, right? Injury concerns. Okay, there's other teams interested. He's asking for too much money. He wants more years guaranteed, even though he's got a big question mark attached to him. So I think that you're still monitor that situation, again, as Bean has said he is, to see if anything's changing on the OBJ front. But I think right now it seems like D-Hop is a number 1. You want to get him in the building. And no matter what, you're drafting a wide receiver this year and probably drafting one next year because you're losing Gabe Davis after this season, most likely.
Yeah,
you're not going to pay him $15 million on top of everything.
Oh, absolutely not. But the thing is, the Bills, they love to hold on to guys. Now, they did let go of Tremaine Edmonds, which was a surprise to me.
For $18 million,
not by choice.
Yeah, for $18 million a season, that was
right.
Yeah,
but Eric, you make a good point. Why won't they do both? Like, that makes a lot of sense. But it's the Bills, and they won't do that. And now you have a hole.
But why though?
That's the problem. That's why I feel like we're in offensive purgatory, because they just don't operate that way. If you look when Sammy Watkins, 2014, right?
Can we not do this?
Y'all know what I'm about to say. Y'all know what I'm about to say. They just haven't dipped their fingers in the well. And I don't count Stephon Diggs as a first round pick like Brandon Beane said. No, that doesn't count. I'm glad you got Steph. But you like the whole idea. It's like when Josh Allen, there was no plan for Josh, in my opinion, there was no plan for Josh Allen when he first got drafted with weapons. They went and got Kelvin Benjamin. Like, are you serious right now? And so why should I have belief that you're going to do right by Josh Allen in this offense this year. I just don't believe it. And now you look at 27 overall, and guess what? You need a middle linebacker because you let go of Tremaine Evans. And I understand that. But you mean to tell me that you're going to trot out Terrell Bernard and Dodson and try to sit up in a press conference and say, "Oh yeah, Bale Inspector."
There's no way
Inspector Gadget. I'm sorry, fam. I can't do it, and I'm tired of the whole Gabe Davis stuff. He can do it. Like Bob the Builder can do it. Yes, he can. Gabe Davis cannot do it. No, he cannot. So I'm done with that. So the Bills, they gotta take it seriously, man. I just don't feel like they in my opinion, that they're not taking wide receiver weaponry serious enough. Like we're so proud of running backs. You took James Cook day 2 last year. They've taken Devin Singletary day 3, or was it he was a day 2 pick, and Moss was a day 2 pick in the 3rd round. So it's like we're investing in the positions that to me that don't matter. Why wouldn't you go get a cost controlled wide receiver? I know, there's something to say that wide receivers in the 1st round, okay. The value is in the 2nd round, but
they need the opportunity to take a good receiver, right? And that's important. But I was high on Christian Watson last year, right? I thought the Bills were going to take Christian Watson. The guy had 4.3 speed and he's 6'5". That could have helped. It helped Green Bay late in the year. I understand they might have been a little scared off from Division II, right, in North Dakota State for him. But yeah, Elijah Moore the year before that, right there for the Bills.
So here's a question, and this is from John Harbaugh. He said he's not related to Jim or John, but because I was going to ask some questions if he was.
Be sure about that.
Would you give up a 2024 pick to move up from Jackson Smith and Jigba?
Ooh, JSN's a tough one because
now you think about that. Hold on, Eric. I want Anthony. You go. I want you to go first on this.
Yeah,
would you give it up?
No is the answer. No, okay. If this were last year with the quality of receivers that were there last year, I would have given up this pick 2023 for one of those guys. Yes. And I know in hindsight that's easier to do, but we had shows from last year, so you can go back and see what receivers we liked on there. Just in general, there's a consensus that last year's wide receiver class was a lot stronger than the top of this year's wide receiver class. So now I'm just not sure, although I do like him, I'm just not sure. I don't want to give up that 1st round pick really for much of anything, because now you're mortgaging what you could get next year. You're hurting yourself in the future by doing that. At some point, you got to take a risk, right? You're giving up the 3rd maybe to get Hopkins, okay, and that's a risk, given the injury. You're going to draft somebody this year. If you give up that 1st round pick and get him this year, what if he's not the guy?
Okay,
now you've given up what you got next year. So
hold that thought. Okay, Eric, go ahead.
What was it you wanted to give up a 2024 first?
2024 to go get Jackson Smith and
Jigba. Are you going to the top 10? That's really far.
Sure.
I would say, look, I like JSN. I think he's my favorite receiver this year. Very smooth. But again, like Anthony says, I have to agree. You can't mortgage the future for something like that, because I think you could move up and get whatever receiver falls out of Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, JSN, Quentin Johnson. You could give up less to move up, further back in the draft. If that makes sense.
Okay. So
I think that's a little too much to give up.
Listen, Sarah's my girl. Okay. She's smart as a whip, and I agree with her. You give it up, because here's the deal. The Bills aren't going to be picking in the top 15, the top 20, the top 25 anytime soon. You got Josh Allen. This is not going to, unless he gets injured, knock on wood, he won't. It ain't happening. So why would, and you're at all these restructures, these contracts and so forth, you're going to be cap strapped. Why would I would be okay with going to get Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I think he would complete your offense. You get him, you don't have to draft 2 or 3 more wide receivers. You put him at number 2. He could play at number 2. He could play in the slot, I believe, and then that's where your Deontay Hardys and your Trent Sherfields, that's where they start to come to life. Oh, and then Khalil Shakir, whatever he is at this point, that's where they come to life. And so I just feel like I'm okay. I don't want DeAndre Hopkins anymore. I'm good on that. Like, if you're going to make that deal, you should have done it already. Are you going to wait till draft night? And then if you get him, I'm really going to be like, I'm going to be excited for a minute. But at the same time, what are we doing?
Yeah, so I think I agree with you actually on that point alone. Worst case scenario, you don't get DeAndre Hopkins, you don't look at OBJ, whatever. You're going into draft night with what we currently got. You give up whatever it takes because that is a big hole in your offense still. Wide receiver 2 is still a big hole in our mind in this offense. My issue is, what if you still have that hole at linebacker and you have that hole at wide receiver? Now, where do you go with that pick, right? If you give up, presumably, your 27 and then next year's first round pick for the wide receiver, where do you go at linebacker? Do you give up more picks to get the linebacker in the second round? Because that's still another glaring hole at a leadership position on the defense. So, I mean, that is worst case scenario, right?
Tough.
Maybe they would sign a veteran linebacker and then do that move and boom, you're checking it off and you're okay. But we can't go into the draft with a hole at wide receiver and at linebacker in my mind. That would be worst case.
But that's what they're doing.
Right. Presumably, I'm saying if they don't make the DeAndre Hopkins trade or sign another veteran at linebacker who is good enough to start.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
And I don't think there's a linebacker on the free agent market. That
not left. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's left.
Nothing exciting.
Look, Walter S says Sterling is lying. He's going to be hyped as hell if we get D-Hop. It's easy to say that. You're
going to get a jersey that says D-Hop on the back. I know.
You know what? And just because y'all said that, I will not do it. Okay. And I won't be excited, Walter. All right. I'm not going to do it. I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna tell you why, because I'm 40. Okay? I'm about that life. I'm a man. I'm 40. All right. But I'll be a little bit excited, but I ain't gonna come over here and tell you I'm excited. I'm gonna be like, I don't really like the pick. I don't really like the, but the Bills ain't gonna get him. I don't feel like we're at a critical place right now where I don't feel like it's gonna happen. Right. So we got a little exercise, right? Let's talk about draft fits, okay? And we're going to do a mock draft here in about 5 minutes. I'm going to pull it up here in a minute. But here are the rules we're going to talk about draft fits, and then I'm going to give you the rules of the mock draft. So at 27, I'm going to ask you a question. And I only want yes or no. Mm-hmm. Do you stay at 27 or do you trade back? Anthony, yes or no?
That was a multiple choice. Trade back. Trade back is ideal. Always.
Okay. Eric.
Trade back. I guess what are we trying to accomplish?
Look. He's
analytical. I gotta know what's going on.
He can't answer the simple question.
I think you stay at 27.
You stay at 27.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh. Okay. Now give me your whys. Why do you stay at 27? And Anthony, why do you trade back?
Literally, if you go back and listen to our analysis, the three of us on the Hoof Podcast, in the years we've been doing the NFL draft, you know what we always bring up and always say is ideal? All of us pretty much consensus every year. Ideal situation is to trade back and get 3 second-round picks or get 2 guys in the second round that are quality. Why do we always say that? Because there's multiple guys who are going to fall just by default, because what do we love every year now? Quarterbacks. Let all the quarterbacks go in the first round. 10 quarterbacks in the first round, because that means the talent is falling, right? And we say that every year because it is true. If you can move back and still get linebacker, right? That's where this conversation is probably going to go. If you can still get the linebacker you're looking at in the second round, then you're going to be at 27 saying, hey, who wants this pick? We'll move back because we think we can get him in the second. Nobody's going to take him ahead of wherever we can get for that 27th pick. Plus, we still have our other second rounder to pick, whatever wide receiver or other position that we're looking at.
Yeah, just what we need. More Cody Fords and Zay Jones. Second round picks. That's what we need. Yeah. Let's get 3 second round picks. This team's been horrible at drafting in the second round.
That's the
break
thing,
the curse, man. That's true.
You got to stay in the first.
The pass rushers in the second round too.
I think you stay in the first because, this has been said, this draft class is kind of weak. Right. So there's only about 15 true first rounders is what Daniel Jeremiah said. But so I think you stay there and see if one will fall. There is 4 quarterbacks, right? Potentially 4, potentially 5, right? I've heard Hendon Hooker might fall in there. But, I mean, you got to get best player available at this point. I think the Bills are trying to build up to that point.
Do they, though?
But we know they need receiver. That's a big need. We know linebacker's a big need. But, I mean, they've filled every other position, right?
We like to say it's best player available, and I think that's BS.
Would you be upset if they took an edge player? I think there's a lot of value in edge. I think a lot of those players will fall.
That's their biggest need
Nolan
on paper,
Smith.
in my opinion. Edge is their biggest
And this
need
edge
on
class
paper.
is weird because they're like hybrid too. Like, who's an actual 4-3 edge player this year versus somebody who plays, kind of the outside linebacker role. It's really, really cloudy this year.
Right.
But I think they've always had that mentality to take best available. And I think when you're sitting in the back row at 27, you just see what comes to you and try to make the best decision you can.
But you are the one who was arguing that you got to go offense in the first, right?
I agree.
You would be livid if they pick a pass rusher.
We talked about trading
round.
back, or we didn't say trading up. Now, I would be okay if they traded up for one of those wide receivers because, again, I want to change the mentality. I want to get this fan base hyped. Like, let's get over the hump. Let's beat Kansas City. Let's beat Cincinnati.
Okay.
Like trading up for a weapon would do that, but trading back.
But what if JSN is long gone, which
he will be.
Yeah, right. So
maybe. I mean, the guy didn't play last year. He doesn't have top end speed. He's smooth.
Tom McShay.
I think it's kind of a mixed
bag.
Down.
Todd.
Look, teams are going to have these guys ranked differently, is my point.
Yeah,
right?
for sure, for sure.
He could fall to 15, 18. You're almost like, hey, can we give you just a third and hop up there to 18? Right? It becomes achievable at that point. Becomes realistic.
Yeah, it does. It does. Would you say the same about Quentin Johnson?
Ooh, good question. I like Quentin Johnson. I like his upside. The guy's, he looks like every top receiver. He's like Mike Williams, but a lot faster, right? You love that. He's something different for the Bills too, right? He's not really a big separation guy, although he is fast, but he's big bodied, right? They could definitely use that. Yeah. I like him, but his hands are make people a little nervous, but I think you could definitely get that fixed.
He's also the tallest of the ones that we've talked about so far, 6'4", right? So I mean, he's a big guy.
I would say he's probably the most likely true number 1 wide receiver in the draft. You agree with that? He might not be there yet, but he has the most upside to become a true number 1 receiver.
For sure. I would say Marvin Mims to me I think he's up there with Zay Flowers and those guys. I think he's on the caliber of Quentin Johnston.
But Zay Flowers is like a weapon. He's a movable weapon, right? He's more like a Tyler Lockett type player, right?
He is a polished receiver. I think he'd do well in this offense, man.
I agree.
I'd love him as the 2. He's one of the guys I like as the 2 for sure. But Eric was asking about 1. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you're trading up, you got to get a 1.
Oh yeah,
and right. And this is just us on the couch. Just imagine what they're going to be feeling on draft night in the war room, trying to figure out what to do. Because here's a point here by my dog. He said, the Bills find themselves in the corner at linebacker. Get Campbell and do the maneuvering after that. And that's the thing. Like you don't have. So it's like this. Is it poor foresight where you knew you could have locked up Tremaine 2 years ago? Right? You should have. I say you should have did that than pay Dawson Knox.
I mean, would his agent go for that though? Because he knows the guy's the same age as the guys coming out in the draft.
That is true.
Got 4 years experience. He knew he was going to be the highest paid.
We don't know what was coming out of their camp. My thought was that's what happened last year because he had kind of a down year. The Bills were probably like, "Hey, we'll give you, $12 million a year," and he was like, because
he's
like, he was going to.
I don't like Buffalo that much.
All right, so. So let's
not like Matt Milano.
Right.
Milano, man. Woo, my guy. Sign that deal.
Lock him up. Extend him.
All right. So why don't we switch on over to, the last part of the show tonight where we're going to do our mock draft. Can you guys see my screen?
Okay. Zoom in a little bit. Probably zoom in a little if you can.
You just stop being old.
You're old.
So
you're the man here.
I'm the man. I'm 40. All right,
gray in the beard now.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm there, dude. I'm there. Okay, so in this mock draft, here are the rules. Okay, I'm gonna put it out there for you guys. You can't draft defense in the first round.
Killing me, man.
You can't. I don't care if Jesus Christ himself is there at defensive end. You can't touch him. Okay. Just okay. So with that being said, you have to go offense. Okay. And so in this mock draft already, this simulation, we've seen the good tight ends are gone. Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, but John Robinson's gone. and Quentin Johnson's gone. Jackson Smith-Njigba went 8th. Okay,
8th.
so this is a very realistic simulation of what it could look like for the Bills on draft night. Now, Bills are on the clock at 27. Okay, you have your choice of Josh Downs, because you can't go defense. Do you want to go offensive tackle? Right. So you got Josh Downs, DeJuan Jones. You got
Torrance.
Osiris Torrance. Okay. I mean, if you're looking for a wide receiver, you get Marvin. I mean,
Keep scrolling. No,
it's
basically have one choice at wide receiver, which is Downs.
Yeah, I'm not taking Downs.
Right. So so let's look at the trade. Let's look at the trade options. So at 29, okay, the New Orleans Saints says, "Hey, we'll take your 27." So let's see. We're not gonna get 71, right? Or let's say no, they don't want Ford. They ain't gonna give us 71. So they will give us 115 and 146. We can get middle. Fourth. You guys want to take that trade?
What number are they in the second round?
They're 29. So
they're
29.
only 2 spots. Oh, 2
right.
spots. Now.
So I will be asking for 115 and 146. Do you guys want to do that, or you want to stay here and pick a guy?
I'm picking a guy.
You're picking a guy.
You're happy with this board right now? I mean,
I'm not happy with it, but it's the cards you're dealt. You got to stay and take it.
Or so we could go here. Let's do this. We could.
You don't need late round picks. You have to find an offensive difference.
Let's say
you're not going to find that in later rounds.
I will say that this strategy is what the Bills used in the second round last year. Remember, right? We traded down. We're like, 2 spots. Okay, now who wants this one? We'll go down 3 more spots. Just pick up some scrub picks for it, and then we ended up getting our guy later in the second round, right?
So the Houston Texans says we'll give you 33. So I take you out of the first round. Okay. So let's say 33, and they would have to give us 65. Would you do that?
Yes, I would.
Eric?
No, we're staying here. We're taking an offensive player.
Okay.
Which player excites you then, though?
That's the thing.
Osiris Torrance is the one that I saw and said
Torrance, Desmond Jones.
But that doesn't move.
Desmond Jones, big body, right?
I don't know.
You got a mobile quarterback.
I don't know who Desmond Jones is. So
Desmond Jones,
right tackle.
DeJuan Jones. Okay.
DeJuan Jones. My bad. But yeah, I like him. I'm looking at him. He fill that right tackle spot. That when you have a mobile quarterback, a big right tackle.
Hold on. So you're telling me that you want to go draft DeJuan Jones, an offensive tackle, to compete with somebody that you have all this trust in at right tackle.
We have trust in Spencer Brown. We have
the
trust
Bills
in him.
do.
The Bills do.
But they say that, but do they really? It's an upgrade.
They went and got David Quessenberry again.
They've been preaching about the excuses with him, and it makes sense.
I feel like
you got to look at the tight ends here, right? Luke Musgrave, tight end 2 spot. You could run some 2 tight end sets, run the ball a little more, but I think that's
still
another
an offensive weapon.
That's another option.
That was the argument, right?
Luke Musgrave more than a capable.
So you would pick him here at 27, where you could get him early. You can make a trade back and get more assets for day 2 or 3. So you take him right here, right now,
because you're likely not going to get him if you trade back.
So
if we're only picking offense, which is not realistic anymore,
you want Luke Musgrave, Anthony. What would you do here?
I would definitely take the trade down. I mean, we already talked about how I think that's more ideal, and you're only talking about this. You're talking about the second pick in the second round plus the third round, right? So that is bonus right there.
Eric, you're getting fired.
Just not
bro.
somebody.
You're getting fired.
If he's saying there's 10 guys down the list and we're only moving down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots, there's only 5 other guys getting picked of the 10 that you like right here.
I can't. I
have
listen,
to take it.
I got to take the trade, bro. So let's go to Houston. We're gonna get out of the first round. I just you're gonna give me 65, and I'm gonna give you 27. You're gonna give me those 2, Houston. If you take it, they said no. So then screw you, Houston. You know you're not. Give me 33 and 73. I'll take that. And
I'd take that still, yeah.
And give me 201. Give me that. Okay, we'll take 201 off the table. Oh,
they know.
They know. Okay.
They know.
Screw you.
know you're
Houston.
screwed.
Hey, Houston, we're not fooling with you, then. We're not doing this with you, Houston. Let me get somebody vulnerable here.
Just take Jalen Hyatt.
You just shut your mouth. Is what you're going to
4-3
do.
speed.
I don't care. He's in the first round.
Hey, where are you going to find 4-2-3 speed? Where are you finding that at?
Listen,
You're not.
Are you the new Raiders, man? You get him in the third round if that's the guy you want.
This is buns. This is buns.
I mean, but who's
pulling a Bill Belichick last year? We're picking a name out of a hat.
All right. We got a trade here with the Arizona Cardinals. So we're gonna give them 27, and we're gonna take 34, 96, and 105.
That's a pretty darn good trade.
Okay, now we're on the clock. So who was taken? Josh Downs. The Chiefs took Josh Downs. Lucas Van Ness. He's defense. And
nobody that
Jack Campbell went first. The number
of the
second round, first pick in the second round. Jack Campbell gone. Osiris Torrance gone. All right, so
that was the pick.
We're on the clock. We got to make a pick here. So let's. We're screwed. We are so screwed.
If you're only going offense, now I'm curious though. Has the linebacker gone, Campbell?
Yeah, he just went.
He said that.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
How about Drew Sanders? Drew Sanders, right?
Yeah, Drew Sanders is on the board.
6'5", similar playing style to Tremaine Edmonds.
Okay, so who we taking? We got Jahmyr Gibbs, running back. Joe Tittman.
Hell no.
Sam Laporta.
We're still just offense or what?
This is just offense, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
These handcuffs are rough, man.
DeJuan Jones, I guess.
Okay, so how do you think Spencer Brown needs to be upgraded? Is the first question.
I believe Spencer
Brown would be beneficial.
You need depth competition, but yeah, is it need?
DeJuan Jones.
Need is too strong of a word for me.
That position to be locked.
I would be. I don't know if DeJuan Jones might play better at guard, to be honest. So let's take DeJuan Jones with the idea. He is, but I think he could play guard too.
He's huge. He's a big body.
He's a big body. He's probably better suited to play guard than he is tackle. So let's take him here.
If
with
he's
the idea,
flexible, you can be a depth guy.
Again, I like Luke Musgrave too. We should have that conversation.
Oh my God, Luke Musgrave. Why do you like him so much?
He's a premier tight end, right?
Yeah.
Route running. He can do it all. He's a great blocker.
At this point in the second round, I wouldn't be mad if they took one of those tight ends because it is a deep tight end class. But that tells a lot about your offense. Now you're committing, not like, oh, we might do more two ends.
All right. We got to make a
committing.
pick here.
Got to do something, right?
Paper, rock, scissors, Musgrave or freaking DeJuan Jones. I say let's go DeJuan Jones. I can't take a tight end right there.
Sure, show. Let's go.
Damn right.
I say these scenarios are unlimited. Are they charging you per mock here?
You shut your mouth when I talk to you. Okay, so all right, so now we could take defense. Defense is on the board. Okay, on the board. We could take defense now. So we got a guy that can play right tackle to challenge Spencer Brown. Okay, so the line, and now we got some young infusion of talent, which is the Bills have been needing. We're good with that. But we still have a hole in middle linebacker.
Glaring hole at middle linebacker. So what is at linebacker right now? Not
linebacker. We got.
I think we're comfortable with Dotson.
Oof. I'd say your best bet is probably
Balin Spector.
Man. I'd look at Henry Toto, but not in the second round. Noah Sewell's intriguing, but Ivan Pace. I mean, yeah, it's
and the wide receiver. How much where are we at with wide receivers in here?
Oh, Kayshon Boutte is the guy that Marvin Mims is here.
Mims is there.
So yeah, I want to go wide receiver. I mean,
I do like Michael Wilson. I know he's had some injury problems, but
I'll pass.
And I don't know if he would. I mean, Gabe Davis will still be here too, in my opinion.
I like Kayshon Boutte, Cedric Tillman, Marvin Mims. Those guys to me. You listen. You got to do it. I can get one of these other linebackers, and
I'll tell you what this scenario is telling me, that the Bills are picking linebacker in round one.
Exactly.
That's what this scenario is telling me, because it makes me wholly uncomfortable that we're waiting to. We still have a glaring hole at the Tremaine Edmonds spot.
Marvin Mims.
Well, you could have had Van
Mims is an okay pick here.
Okay pick. He's your best option.
That's what I mean. No, I agree, but I'm not thrilled with the position of it, but I'll take him for sure. He's one of the guys I want to target.
Let's take him. At least we got a guy. We got to do everything wide receiver that you put him at wide receiver 2. He could do all the things you need him to do. Okay. Now, let's see.
Now you're taking linebacker whether you want to or not, right? Because you're screwed.
I mean, right.
Better value though, right?
Yeah, the value is a little better here. Who are we taking? Ivan Pace. I love Owen Popo, but
the only one I've looked into is Doran Williams. So you're getting out of my knowledge realm. Bring in the professionals.
All right, so look at pick 91 value wise, I think it's between Henry Toto. I know Henry Toto can come in and play middle linebacker, right? I know he could do that. Noah Sewell is intriguing.
I being at Alabama, he can play pro style, and it's linebacker. I feel like is the position because it's Sean McDermott's defense, and now for real, right? Sean McDermott is taking over defensive play calling. That's the position that you need to trust, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if they take the 10th guy down on this list. If that's the guy Sean McDermott says, I believe that this guy is the one I can trust, whether he can play or not.
Right.
So that's why it's hard to read this, but you're right that I think the 2 guys you named, because of where they play, Alabama, pro style, right? They know what they're doing there. That guy is ready to play. He knows the position. He knows what the NFL is going to be like. Oregon, less so, but still maybe. I mean, so that's it makes me nervous beyond the first round, basically, if you don't pick linebacker first.
Is the Michigan tight end left? Check the tight ends. See if
Luke Schoonmaker. You want to go tight end here? Okay, Schoonmaker's here. You want Schoonmaker?
Yeah,
I love a Michigan guy. I'm Zach Kuntz is dope.
What's he like? 6'7"? I know he's
tall.
I'd love that pick here. All right, I'll take that.
Let's go Schoon.
We're going all in offense. Let's do it.
And we can go. We're at 96, so we can still take
Carl Brooks. Carl Brooks.
You want to take an edge here?
Yeah, because I think Carl Brooks can play defensive tackle or on the outside, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Inside, outside.
All right, okay. All right. This is shaping up. Guy. Okay, and we still have. Let's go to linebackers. No, I'm kidding. Let's go to linebacker. Linebackers still in need, and these guys are still here. So we're in the 4th round here.
Now we have to. I think we.
So I think it's between Sewell, Popo, and Henry Toto. I think those guys give you the better upside than Dorian Williams and Ivan Pace.
Did we get a receiver yet?
We did.
Marvin Mims, second round.
Marvin Mims in the second.
Get another one.
Yeah, you might.
But okay.
I'm still looking wide receiver, or I'm still looking linebacker there. I think that's the spot to take one of those guys.
You take Boot here, right? That's
now Kayshon Boutte. Well,
that's good value.
Bryce Ford Wheaton. This is some good value here.
Right. There are some
Xavier Hutchinson. What's he ranked at?
I like Kayshon Boutte, and that's a guy that a lot of people aren't talking about because of, the stuff at LSU.
I'd say give me the tallest of those receivers, because now you got the complementary piece in Mims. What do you need? I'd say that means you need a big guy, right? You need a
Let's
big
talk
guy.
about Boutte a little bit, though. He came out early. He was almost forced out of LSU, it seemed like.
Right. Because he likes the boom.
He got in trouble.
Yeah.
He likes the boom.
But he was going to be a top prospect next year, right?
Yeah.
He was on pace to be a first round receiver, or I don't know much about him, so that's what I'm asking.
But here's the problem with that. Number one thing that I would say automatically he's off the board. Any guy with character issues is not going to be picked,
especially after the old punter issue last year.
Yeah, it's just
so
not going to
Xavier Hutchinson, Kayshon Boutte, who you or you want to go developmental upside, Bryce Ford Wheaton. Those are the 3 here.
Who's the tallest? That's and the fastest.
God. That's not
tallest
real.
And the fastest. Tallest and the fastest.
Sarah says take Hutchinson.
She loves Xavier Hutchinson. We'll go. I think Kayshon Boutte is better, but we'll go with that. Okay. Now, all right, we still don't have a linebacker, and it's not looking pretty, folks.
But yeah, I got to jump off here. I got another setup after this, but thanks for having me, Sterling. You guys go ahead and finish this draft up.
All right.
Thanks you, everybody. It's great being on Buffalo Rumblings, and look forward to jumping on some other time.
All right, man. Get out of here.
See you, Eric.
Later.
All right. So, Anthony. Henry Toto?
Yes, definitely here. I'm glad he's still there because, again, I preached about Alabama. Is he ready?
All right.
Most likely.
For sake of time, let's go ahead and, I think let's go and just.
What are we at here? Round 6?
So
now?
this is round 5, pick 3.
Round 5.
Let's take some insurance here. Let's go Cam Jones. This because we're sinking here at linebacker.
I like it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. We've done that before.
Double down on linebacker, and then we can get a guy that has upside. Let's go
offensive line.
I always end up taking Trevor Reed. All right, that's our draft. So the draft is over. Let's see our grade, and we're probably gonna get a B or something, B- or some mess like that. Let's see what they gave us. They gave us an F for Marvin Mims. They're crazy.
Yeah,
they are crazy for that. Get out of here.
I honestly would not hate if that's how the board fell, and that was where the wide receivers were, and we took a tackle in the first round. You better take a weapon there. You're either taking one of the top tight ends if they're still on the board, or a wide receiver at that position if you went tackle in the first round. So I'm okay taking him there.
Yeah. All right. So this is it. This is B-. This is not a bad exercise to do. I like doing these just because it kind of gives you an idea of what they're going to be facing on draft night. And the simulations they kind of vary. But I think one of the things that we found here on my show in the last 3 weeks is that the kind of the same people are still on the board when the Bills pick at 27, and it's not great. Like the Bills might be forced to take Jack Campbell at 27.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw Houston come up and snag him in the first overall pick in the second round. And that's the thing. Like we talk about offensive purgatory, but I really do feel like at pick 27, the Bills will be picking a linebacker, and it's really hard. It's really hard to stomach that. Like if you take Jack Campbell 27 overall, I would love to see them get aggressive and go get somebody day 2 wide receiver early, like trade up, do what you got to do. But
yeah,
I don't think you can sit there
at that point. I agree. You got to make moves to. We already in this simulation we took a tackle to shore up the offensive line, which is okay, I guess, but not ideal as we've decided. If you take a linebacker in the first, now you're looking at the same situation where wide receiver, offensive line depth, tight end, whatever your wants were coming into the draft are all of a sudden, in your face and push back in who you're going to get. So I agree that trading up in the second round, if you end up having to take the linebacker in round 1, then you probably need to find a way to get multiple guys in 2 and 3.
I agree.
Multiple picks that are offense heavy.
I agree.
Tight end, wide receiver, whoever it is you believe in. If you come up and get, an Osiris Torrance, who's a guy that a lot of people also have in that 27-ish range, great. Then I'm okay with that too. You've added the depth, you've improved the line, but you're still going to have to add weapons, pass catching weapons.
Yeah, it's dude. This draft is one of the most important drafts in Bills history since drafting Josh Allen. Like that's how difficult. This draft isn't stocked with talent. It's just not, right? Like, I think you have good solid, you got about 15 to 20. I got like 22 first round, worthy selections in round 1. But outside of that, you got a lot of depth. You got NIL and, that COVID fifth year kind of planning, kind of hurting this draft class. And the depth, it's depth. It's not overall, it's not top talent, man. So it's going to be tough for them to really come away with this draft. I mean, unless they get some hits and they develop and these guys are, but it's going to be tough, man. So we'll see.
Decisions got to be made. And hopefully we see a little bit more of that before the draft. Could be that we're waiting until draft night for that Deandre Hopkins trade. Who knows? But, hopefully it's a little clearer a month from now. Yeah,
well, you guys have been listening to the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. This is the Chop Up. I'm your host, Sterling. We got my guy, Anthony Romeo, on the other side. Eric is in school, so he had to bounce off a little early. But, man, it was a pleasure having you here tonight. Hope that we can continue doing some stuff in the future. We always talk. You're one of my favorite people in the world, man. One of my brothers. And I appreciate you so much.
The listeners don't know how much we love each other, man. It's true brotherhood with us.
Absolutely.
And thank you for having us on. It's always the best to get the band back together and talk football with you guys. Nobody else I want to talk football with rather than
absolutely, man. So with that being said, dude, we out of here. Go Bills.